Put away your books, get out a clean sheet of paper and a pencil. Whew, scary words. Universally, the worst part of the school day is tests. While school was a long time ago for me, I remember so many tests. Typically, the ones I remember, I probably shouldn't remember. Teachers give tests, obviously, to see if the material they presented has sunk in. In math, we learned, "My dear Aunt Sally." If that phrase is unfamiliar for you, then you didn't have Mr. Williamson for algebra. Athletes compete in all types of activities and games. Each one is a test to determine if the physical training that they have endured is sufficient to pass or win. It's a test. The Apostle Paul reminds us, "Do you not know that in a race that all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize." It's 1 Corinthians 9. A few years ago, I trained for a half marathon. The discipline was grueling. Getting up early in the morning, despite the weather, to jog with others who were preparing for the same goal. Many days this activity was accomplished before work and before daybreak. The 13 miles of the half marathon was a real test. So in answer to Paul, I didn't win the prize, but I did receive a pretty medallion to prove that I accomplished the feat, passing the test physically, reaping the benefit of the physical training. It's important to remember that while I failed to win, I did successfully complete the test. It's important. Don't forget that. In John 6, I feel for Philip, one of Jesus' disciples. Word of this new Galilean prophet, whose teachings were simple yet unfathomable, not to mention miracles, attracted great crowds. You know, it's been said of John Wesley, "Light yourself on fire with passion and people will come from miles around just to watch you burn." People from all over Israel came to see and hear this new young prophet, whose teachings were starting an unquenchable fire. Those flames burn today. Jesus puts Philip on the spot. A pop quiz, so to speak. Don't you hate when that happens? When Jesus looked up and saw the great crowd coming toward him, he said to Philip, "Where shall we buy bread for these people to eat?" He asked this only to test him, for he had already had in mind what he was going to do. Now, if we look back through Jesus' ministry, he gave his disciples many pop quizzes. In Caesarea Philippi, Jesus asked his disciples, "Who do men say that I am?" On that occasion, Simon Peter got the answer right. "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Matthew 16. To be fair, Peter had some help with that answer. Remember, the Lord said to Peter, "Flesh and blood did not reveal this to you, but my Father which is in heaven." For the record, Peter would get many of the Lord's questions wrong. He was lucky this time. This is a strong point to make about following Christ. Failure isn't final. Failure only means we're human, and we're not evil. The important part is to pick yourself up, brush yourselves off, continuing to follow Jesus, learning as we go. God's not looking for a perfect record, only a perfect heart, one that's inclined toward him. The writer of Hebrew puts it this way: "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, we must get rid of every weight and sin that clings so closely and run with endurance the race set before us, keeping our eyes fixed on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter, the author of our faith." Take your time. Finish your course. And absolutely the best part, we don't have to repeat the grade. We have this promise. God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you're tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can endure it. 1 Corinthians 10. So don't be afraid of the test. It makes us strong. Next time,